Meanwhile, Donald Trump is back on the campaign trail today, hitting all-important battleground states that, of course, could be decisive come November. The GOP nominee will start his day in North Carolina today while traveling north to Pennsylvania, where he will be holding multiple events today as well. Meanwhile, Donald Trump faces fallout from his comments regarding the election and its alleged rigging, saying, in fact, that he reserves his right to refuse to accept the election result if he loses. With me to break it all down, Washington Post political reporter David Fahrenthold. So, David, again, we've heard this from the candidate, though obviously it has been amplified in days recent. It is also a stance that GOP leadership has called a colossal mistake. Many critics, bipartisan, consider this very dangerous, this attack on democracy. What do you make by way of political strategy of what we're seeing from Donald Trump?
Well, I think if you want to win the election, it's terrible strategy. Not only does it alienate other Republicans who don't want to feel like they're with a candidate who's undermining the pillars of democracy, but it also convinces people who agree with you to stay home. If people feel like you've told them 3 weeks before the election that the election is rigged and you're never going to win, what's their incentive to go out and wait in line to vote? I can't imagine maybe it works as a sort of personal rationalization for Trump about why he might lose, but as a strategy to actually win, it's pretty terrible. I
mean, that was a big if that you began that answer with. Quite simply, 18 days out. Do you believe Donald Trump is running for president?
I think he is. I think he believes he is, but he's not doing any of the things that someone would be doing if they were trying to win. He's not trying to get moderate voters, and he's not trying to project an optimistic view about the country. He's not running a good get-out-the-vote operation. He's running the way he thinks he should run, but he's not running effectively.
You mentioned the reductionist strategy, perhaps on both sides of the aisle here. We saw Michelle Obama yesterday in Arizona, a decidedly red state, won once by Democrats in 1996, but you had to go back to the 40s before that. Looking how the surrogates, though, are being deployed by the Clinton campaign, is there a real belief now that this map could be expanded and those congressional majorities of the GOP could really be in doubt?
I think there is. There's a real optimism among Democrats that they can actually do that. So you're looking at campaign appearances in places like Arizona and Georgia, but also places like Texas and South Carolina, where the Republicans had, or Democrats had sort of no hope of going into this campaign. But Trump has been so bad that they may actually win those states. And it's not just about the Senate races, although I think they're seeing a bump in their Senate prospects, the Democrats are. It's about sort of burying the Trump phenomenon. I think they want to be sure they're not dealing with Trump as a powerful, out-of-power figure who's leading Republicans from sort of behind the scenes after Clinton wins. We've
seen the Trump campaign at times rarely behave as though a conventional campaign might, certainly with regard to spending. Only recently have we seen, it would seem, Donald Trump and his campaign look to spend what in elections past we'd seen from a presidential campaign. Almost double, though, this past month to what it had spent the month prior. Is the financial push here evidence perhaps of the belief in a last-minute turn?
Well, I mean, it's probably just the fact that it's getting close to the end, and you got to spend it before November 8th, or it's worthless. So I think they did some really odd decisions, such as reserving ad time in these states when it was early on and the ad time was relatively cheap, then canceling it, then buying it back at a higher rate. They're spending money, but I still don't see a lot of evidence of real strategy there or an effort to maximize the value of what they're spending.
You tweeted 2 days ago, stay tuned. Before it's all over with, we've got a little more left to tell you about Donald Trump's foundation. Your reporting has been thorough and exhaustive. I can only imagine you might still be working on the piece to which you refer. What can you tell us about it at this point?
Well, what I'm trying to do is look back to the beginning of the Trump Foundation. It had been sort of my presumption that it was sort of a normal charity for a while after Trump started it in 1987, and that maybe it went bad in the last few years and started doing all the things that we've already talked about, using its money to buy things for Trump, using its money to settle his legal disputes. And I'm going back to the very beginning of the Trump Foundation to see whether those flaws were actually present right from the start.
Again, and very quickly, before I let you go, he made reference in the third and final debate to the charitable foundation and mentioned his personal giving to it. For the record, as far as you have found, when was the last time he had personally donated to the charitable foundation?
The last time we have any evidence of comes from tax filings, and that was $30,000 in 2008.
Okay. We could perhaps learn more from tax filings if we had the chance to see them. David Fahrenthold of the Washington Post, as always, we very much appreciate the time.
Thank you.